Hello everyone, welcome to the next session of the videos. Fast sketching, croquis with vet, and in this video I will still do some Venetian architecture, quite a complex view of the buildings and everything in the canal. So this time I'm going to use, of course, sanguine. And sanguine you can wash a little bit with the brush, but not too much, unless you buy the sanguine which is dry. But I'm using kind of slightly oily, so it permits me to add colors without really washing out the lines of the sanguine. So that's very important, because in previous videos I draw one landscape of Venice with the aquarelle pencil, and this allows you to do very nice effects, and you don't have to actually add any colors. You can just leave it as it is, and you can simply leave it monochrome. Either you draw in blue, red, whatever color you choose, your preferences, and you can do nice washing after, little with emphasizing the dimensions of the building, but slightly adding with water some retrace certain lines, and it's going to dilute very nicely, and you might create very nice view effects actually with water. So but in this case, as this drawing I do is sanguine, and this I'm going to add in the other video. You will as you remark, I am doing first the sketching only, and after second videos always the coloring things. This for one reason only, that I don't want these videos to be too long. I want them to be average 10 minutes or a few or so, a little less, little more. So that's why I'm divided them, and it's just when you sketch I just repeat approximately. That's all what I was just saying in the other videos, that when you do very rough fast sketching of architecture, paysage, whatever is the subject of your drawing. In my case, for example, there's very complex architectural settings and compositions. So in Venice is extremely difficult, because the perspective is sometimes going all kind of directions, and there's nothing. Is quite challenging drawing Venice in many ways. I love this, and I think it's still repeat again that this is the best place to really check it out, how well you draw and what you can do with your skills. So fast sketching is about, actually the most important is to have a right perspective, right proportions of the buildings you see, the view of the architectural forms in front of you, right proportions, and that's it. That's the main forms you only capture. You don't capture details like kind of exactitude, how the window looks, how the balcony have ornaments, whatever. This you just skip it. You just give kind of impression, little line here and there, and you just kind of indicate that there is something much more elaborated. But this, the fast sketching, they are notes, okay, on the like you would write something on the paper to just remember, for example, phone number or something. So it just when you're sketching in fast sketching, you just sketch and note the memories. Okay, so that's what you should. That's why it's not important to do many details. I look sometimes at the drawing, sketching, and everything, and it's too elaborated, too much. Of course, you can do beautiful drawing after, if you take a picture of this, for example, so you want to remember exactly how each window looked and everything, you can actually make it, much more elaborated drawing after in the, comfort of your studio and or at home, and you can actually work on the drawing much more, better. But I like to do the fast notes, like kind of my travel and the thing, the cities I see, the architecture I see, and everything. So that's me, and I love to do that, and it's quite challenging. I like to have, be exposed to difficulties, to difficult things, how I can perceive in very short time the essence of it. So if you would, look at my drawings, actually everything has the right proportions and everything. That's what I'm looking for always in my sketching, and it's kind of essence of essential things. But because the architecture in Venice is extremely complex, and even simple elevation, simple, wall, wherever you go, is so rich in details, in cracks, in some kind of partially sink, bricks or something. But even if it's just simply colored walls or something on the facade of the buildings, still, even on orange, whatever is the color, you can see all kind of nuances, and this is really great thing. So you need to choose from those massive informations only the most essential, which would make the drawing in certain way realistic in certain way, but at the same time not too complex, and you don't have to spend hours or something to really depict what you see. So this is quite interesting practice and exercise, and you could start doing this in everything, whenever your own city, wherever you are, and just go and just try to do some architecture there, and just enjoy this simplicity in a certain way, how to represent what you see, and what to do in order to get it the best results. So that's really great drawing practice. And of course, after, you can always with watercolors add some additional effects or something. It's not always necessary. You can just leave this. It depends what you're expecting from the sketch and how fast you do it. If you spend not more than 15, maybe sometimes 20 minutes doing sketch and watercolor it a little bit here and there, that's okay. That's a very good time, actually, for this kind of complex architectural view. And so try, and you will see. It doesn't matter if you like to draw very elaborated scenes, or less elaborated scenes. It really doesn't matter. It's what is important is just to practice, because when you practice fast sketching, you shape it better perception of forms and everything. Even if from the beginning, if you just see that your lines are crooked, whatever. So for crooked lines, I would suggest you to use aquarelle pencil, which you could somehow, the crooked lines with the water and brush, you can somehow make them either vanish make from them shade, or you can just slightly dilute it, and you will see that they will be less disturbing. So but also manipulate the brush, you have to also learn, because it's not just doing using colors and using the brush the same way as you do paintings. No, that's different thing. You have to learn also manipulating the brush. So there's many things you have to learn in order to do fast sketching, but the essential is to start first with line. And the line needs to be modulated. You can't use always very heavy, the same intensity line. That's always make bad drawing. And if you look at any good drawings, you have modulations. There are certain forms which are more pronounced and others less pronounced. So you should really take look at this and try to do the same. So as you draw, sometimes you push, sometimes you not, and you have kind of variations of intensity of line, and that's something very important in sketch, because you emphasize certain lines which have something to say more in sense of dimension of the element you draw. So if you draw doors or windows, evidently you need to put some shades somewhere inside the window from one side or the other. Either you want to separate one facade from the others, you also have to slightly emphasize here and there. So that's and you always look at this like this. Whenever is sun coming, a lot of light, you do light lines. But when you work in shades and shadows, you can emphasize them much more. But also you have to, not everything, just certain parts, in order to gain kind of dimensionality of your stroke. That's very important. So try this with your own subject, your own architectural landscape, and this might not be right away, but if you practice more and more, you will find out that it's not really complicated as much. So I wish you good luck with your practice, and just have fun and choose all kind of mediums. In these videos anyway, I'm going to introduce you to many other different mediums in sketching, but at this time it's just the sepia, and the next video will be about coloring this landscape. Thank you, and bye bye now.